The mission of Blind Children's Learning Center is to provide early intervention, education, and services for blind, visually impaired, and deafblind children and their families to promote independence.
Can we look here?
Our programs start right in the very beginning when a child is born with a severe visual impairment or is born blind.
I'm Laura Blatchford, and these are my three sons, Ben, Sam, and Rory, and they're triplets. We found out when they were about 2.5 months old that they had vision issues, and we were contacted by Blind Children's Learning Center at that time.
If your family has a child born who is visually impaired, you're not prepared to know how to serve that child.
You know, it's just kind of a terrifying time as a parent because it's unknown. They came home from the hospital when they were about 4.5 months old, and Blind Children started coming in home once a week. I can't even imagine what my life would be like today, or what their lives would be like, for that matter, without that intervention.
We start in the home, and then we bring them to our campus in North Tustin, which is Bright Visions. And this is an inclusive preschool where we have typically developing children and children with visual impairments working together.
I'm the parent of 2 children at Blind Children's Learning Center. I have a 5.5-year-old in kindergarten who's visually impaired, and I also have a typically developing 2-year-old in the toddler class. We were told about Blind Children's Learning Center, and so we toured, and we were just blown away by how everything at the school is adapted for kids with visual impairments. We just felt like it was finally a place where Natalie would belong, where the teachers would get her and know how to teach her, given her multiple challenges.
For children who have a visual impairment, it's especially important that our lessons are tactile and that they are visually stimulating and very hands-on for the students.
Where typical children would be seeing things and learning from them, Blind Children's Learning Center provides hands-on learning for them.
Instead of just talking about the letter A or showing her what the letter A looks like, say A. They are exposing her to the letter A in Braille. They're giving her tactile objects so that she can feel the letter A. They're talking about different things that start with the letter A. If there's a way to taste the letter A, she's tasting the letter A.
One of the biggest things that we do is the total communication system. So we start out at a very young age handing the child simple objects, a diaper, a bottle, a spoon to represent things that are coming up in their day.
We're gonna go potty, then go to PT, and then circle time.
They use objects to represent the child and things that the child will interact with during the day. So Natalie's actually able to physically feel her way through her schedule and know what's coming next.
The environment at the school is labeled with tangible objects. As the kids get older, they're able to navigate the entire school.
1 of the 7.
If you're blind or you're deafblind, how do you understand the world? So you can do it by learning Braille, but you can do it much faster by technology. My name is Wayne Heidel. I'm an assistant professor with the Southern California College of Optometry at Marshall B. Ketchum University. It's so important for children to learn the technologies when they're young, because these are technologies that they'll use for the rest of their lives. So in my world, and in the world of these children, technology is a must. It's not just a luxury.
Now, Blind Children's Learning Center has an array of technology in all the classrooms. All these great things that later they're going to be able to use to lead independent lives, and these kids are getting exposed to it at preschool. Blind Children's Learning Center is the absolute place where your child can learn about different technologies and learn how to navigate the world.
Benjamin has no vision, and then Rory is legally blind, and Sam here has low vision. But one thing that was really awesome was that all 3 of them could go to the same school.
We began to think about our younger daughter, Olivia, where she would go to preschool, and we began to realize that the multisensory learning environment at Blind Children's Learning Center works so well for all kids, whether they're visually impaired or not. So we decided to enroll Olivia. We've just seen so much academic growth in her in the few months that she's been here, and we definitely attribute that to the multisensory teaching that they incorporate here at Bright Visions.
I am a very picky mom, and I looked at every single preschool in Tustin, and every single one always met 80% of my criteria. The things I looked for in a preschool were the ratio of teacher to children and how much my daughter liked being on the campus and how bright and fun it was, and Bright Visions hit the nail on the head with everything that I was looking for. It was perfect.
For me, it allowed me to learn how to make friends, learn how to interact with kids who had vision, and learn how to tell them I didn't.
The children who have the visual impairment are benefited because they have a peer model who is able to show them this is what a typical child your age would be doing at this time. It also benefits the children who are typically developing because they really learn empathy and also not to be afraid of someone who's a little different from themselves.
One of the things I've noticed in Audrey is that she has compassion for her peers, whether sighted or not, and that's even away from school. She sees no difference in the disabilities. It's just a matter of, oh, my friend needs some help, I'm going to help him out.
Being a family with a child with special needs, we are often jetting all over town to different doctor's appointments and therapy appointments and things like that. But the nice thing is, being here at Blind Children's Learning Center, Natalie can get PT, OT, speech, orientation and mobility, vision services, and they even have an optometrist on site. It's just really saved us a lot of time having all of those services here in one location during the hours that she's at school.
Our counseling program provides parents with the opportunity to talk about any difficulties that they're having, because parents quite often go through a grieving process when a child is born blind or with a visual impairment.
It can be very scary and very isolating raising a child with special needs. I feel like Blind Children's Learning Center has done many things for our family. Natalie's needs are being met here, but we also feel like as parents, our needs are also being met. We come here and we meet other parents of children who are visually impaired, and we really felt like we've all kind of found a place where we can link arms and get through this life together.
Once they graduate kindergarten and the children are mainstreamed into the school district, then we send our teachers of the visually impaired and our orientation and mobility specialists into the school district to continue teaching the children.
We were very fortunate when we had our transition from Blind Children's into the public schools that we were able to use the same vision teacher and the same mobility teacher that the public school had contracted that from Blind Children's. And for us, that made it a very easy transition because they had some continuity going forward, and that made a big difference.
And then the children come back to our campus where we teach them daily living skills and practical skills. We have tutoring, we have mentoring.
Ben, Sam, and Rory are still involved with Blind Children's today. Both Ben and Rory are in the Living Skills program, and they're working on cooking, shoe tying, folded clothes. They made socks. They do all the things that we do in a home so that when they're ready to graduate from high school, they also can go off to college and be totally self-sufficient.
Blind Children's Learning Center has made me the person I am today, and I would not have been able to get through junior college or get my bachelor's degree without their help and support at such a young age. We have a facility made for a visually impaired child to be as independent as possible, and we know how to get them to that point where they're leading an independent life.
One of the biggest gifts we got from Blind Children's Learning Center, my husband and I, is a feeling very early on that everybody was going to be okay and that our kids could be really successful.
Every day when I pull on campus, I can't get Audrey unbuckled fast enough. Then she can't get out of her seat fast enough. Then she goes tearing through the parking lot with Mommy trailing behind her because she cannot wait to get to school. And to see the light on her face when she walks through the door makes me know that I picked the perfect place for her to be.
As her parents, I feel like we're faced every day with what Natalie can't do. And it's nice to be in a place where nobody's focused on what she can't do. Everybody really is focused on what can Natalie do and what do we think Natalie will be able to do in the future.